My name is Audrey Wessel. I'm an attorney with Gutwein Law. Here at Gutwein Law, we offer various practice areas. We do a lot of business work, including corporate governance, mergers and acquisitions, fundraising, formation of entities, and similar services. We also offer real estate, intellectual property, including patents, litigation services, and also estate planning. Personally, I work a lot with startups and small businesses. I do a lot of formation work. I work with businesses in the venture capital space. Most of my clients are technology companies, but I also work with product companies and other small and startup businesses. Limited liability companies and corporations are certainly the most common. Public benefit corporations are gaining traction, and there are some other types of entities that are possible, but the most common by far are limited liability companies and corporations. First, taxes. One major difference is taxation. By default, limited liability companies are taxed on a pass-through basis. This means that profits and losses are generally allocated to owners on a pro rata basis to ownership. Corporations, by default, are going to be taxed at the entity level. A second major difference is corporate governance. Corporations require more formality from a governance perspective. So for early stage or lifestyle businesses, the greater flexibility that LLCs offer may be preferable. For companies in later stages or for companies that have investors, the additional rigidity may be preferable there. Third, ease and clarity regarding issuing equity incentives to employees or other service providers. The IRS regulations are much clearer in that corporate structure. It doesn't mean you can't offer these in LLCs, but it's clearer and cleaner to do so generally in corporations. Generally, you can switch the entity type later. It is actually fairly common to go from an LLC to a corporation. It's less common to switch from a corporation back to an LLC because of the tax implications related to doing so. There are several factors involved with choosing the type of entity and the state where you form that entity. Those factors may be more or less important to you depending on your specific situation. However, some of the larger factors are looking at your overall company plan and timeline. Are you planning to raise money? And if so, how soon do you think you'll be doing that? Do you plan on issuing equity incentives to service providers and employees? And if so, what do you think your timeline is for doing so? There can also be personal factors involved. Sometimes people have more familiarity with one type of entity or another based on previous experiences. Sometimes people feel that one entity sounds more professional than another. All of these factors are relevant, and again, examining which factors are most important to you is the most important consideration when choosing your type of entity and the state where you form. The best time to form your entity can vary. We generally recommend forming an entity as soon as you plan to have a business. That would be the ideal situation. Because that enables you to start setting forth equity splits between owners, dealing with intellectual property, and similar things of that nature. However, at a bare minimum, definitely get an entity formed before you start selling your products and services to third parties or before you enter into any contracts for your business. One of the benefits of forming an entity is liability protection. If you follow appropriate formalities, actually operate under the business, and assuming you're not engaging in any fraud or illegal activities, it becomes much more difficult for third parties to pursue your personal assets if the business incurs liability. So that's why we recommend, again, at a bare minimum, forming that entity before you enter into any contracts or start selling your products and services. When you decide you're ready to form your entity, there's more to be done than filing documents with the state. You'll want internal governing documents, you'll want documentation regarding the equity split of the company, and these items should really be put into place as soon as possible after you form your entity with the state. Ideally, engaging with both an accountant and legal counsel, if you're able to, makes the process much smoother. This video is intended to give you some general considerations on what you may want to think about when you're considering forming an entity. There are many factors that may be applicable to your individual situation that maybe we've discussed in this video or we haven't. That's why it's really important to talk to your own advisors, do your own research, and figure out what's most important to you before making these decisions. If you'd like to talk to me or another attorney at Gutwein Law about your specific situation, we'll be posting my contact information and how to reach out to the firm on the next slide of this video.